Oh, yeah.
Sean?
All you wallflowers back there, you can come in.
Yep, just a gun range.
We can talk about the door, but
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday, March 19th, 2024's regular board meeting. At this time, I will call the meeting to order, and those of you who can, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Trustee Smith. Trustee Ruggles.
Here.
Clerk Noble here. Supervisor Kowal.
Here.
Treasurer Roman.
Here.
Trustee Voorhees.
Present.
Trustee Powell.
Here.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion for approval of the agenda. Mr. Rahman?
Before we approve the agenda, I'd like to add an item under 12 FYI Civic Center update. I'd like to add an action item on the add alternate situation for the gun range.
Very good. So amended. Is that a motion?
It's a motion.
Okay. Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Agenda's approved. Public comment this time. If anybody in the public would like to speak, you'll have 3 minutes. You'll have to come up and identify yourself for the recorder at the microphone stand and state your case.
I don't see anyone else, so I'll go. I normally go last. I will be brief. Hi, everyone. Christine Long, County Commissioner, and I'm just here to see your meeting, get an update on what's going on in White Lake, and just remind everybody, please call me. My cell number is listed, board and residents. I'm always available to help for anything. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone at this time? Seeing none, closing public comment. Item number 6, looking to approve the consent agenda, which is revenue expenses, check disbursement, department reports, and such.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda.
I have a motion approved. Looking for support. Motion of support from Andrew Voorhees. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. 7A, approval of minutes of the regular board meeting of February 20th, 2024. Questions, comments from the board? If none, looking for a motion?
Mr. Supervisor, I move the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting, February 20th, 24, as corrected over the last week or so.
Very good. I have a motion to approve the minutes. Looking for support?
support.
I have support from Mr. Ruggles. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Next item, presentation. This is one of the fun things we get to do. Gentlemen in the back, thanks for all being here. Chief, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. With your permission, I'd like to have members from my department approach up here.
Please do.
All of you. Just come right around. Board members, Mr. Supervisor, I thank you for giving us the floor tonight. This is a special time for us, and we're here to acknowledge firefighter EMT Phil Landry, who recently completed his one-year probationary period, and we have the opportunity to recognize his hard work, dedication to the organization and the community. Phil came to us in January 2023 after serving 10 years with the city of Farmington Hills. Their loss is our gain. Another guy we got from Farmington Hills, brought over to our department. Proud to have him, and say that in 1 year's time, he's fulfilled the probationary expectation. He's earned the right to be pinned and recognized as a firefighter EMT with the White Lake Township Fire Department. The badge and the oath symbolizes his willingness to uphold the best interests of this community and organization. And Phil, on behalf of the department and members, I want to congratulate you on this achievement.
I gotta swear him in first.
Yeah, we gotta swear him in.
We usually pin him first and then swear him with the badge on.
Okay.
Okay. Clerk Noble, you can stand right here with him. Clerk Noble's gonna swear you in.
Swear at you.
I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of firefighter for the Township of White Lake, County of Oakland, and State of Michigan according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
I do.
Welcome aboard.
Congratulations, Phil.
Great job, Phil. Thank you.
Welcome to White Lake.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief. You
Thank
good?
you. Yep, we're good. Thank you, Board Member.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys.
Always nice to have new faces in our ever-growing
Just stand with the.
township.
And I do.
Don't need a ladder.
Next
truck
item,
anymore with him.
public hearing, to hear public comments regarding the establishment of a special assessment district for emergency sewer connections, 2024-01. This is a process of which the township board had set up here a few years back to allow persons that live in a district where sewer is available and emergency situations to work that process through. And this is the hearing for that. So I am going to make a motion to open the public hearing for comments regarding the establishment of a special assessment district for the emergency sewer connections, 2024-01. Looking for support?
Support.
I have support from Trustee Smith. Roll call vote?
Supervisor Colwell.
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Supervisor Colwell.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And Treasurer Roman.
Treasurer Roman.
Yes.
Roman, yeah. That's what I got it twice, but that's okay.
Treasurer Roman.
At this time, it's open for public comment. If there is any comment on the establishment of the special assessment district for the emergency sewer connections, 2024-01. Seeing no public, I will close public comment, and we will move on. Make a motion to close public comment?
Support.
I have motion, I have support, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comment is now closed. New business, Resolution 24-011, to establish, maintain a special assessment district to pay costs associated therewith and to approve the plans and estimates of costs, therefore, to be known as an emergency sewer connections, 2024-01. Mr. Powell.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is a desperately needed program, and to continue it is absolutely essential. So I move to approve the Emergency Sewer Connection Fund. I think it's Resolution 24-011.
Yes, sir. We have a motion, looking for support?
Support.
I have support from trustee Andrew Voorhees. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Kathy Gordon, our director, was under the weather. She was unable to attend this meeting and advised not to. So if you had a moment to read these things, they're basically housekeeping matters, and will kind of sync us up with a few things. Is there any questions or comments from the board at this time?
I absolutely had questions, but I don't feel like I should ask for you guys to address them. Should I just bring them out in public comment or like right now?
Well, you can ask the question.
So they're getting rid of fundraising activities to help finance the operation of the center. So there's no longer going to be a Facebook post that says donations needed for coffee, toilet paper.
I can't, that question.
Yeah, no, I
can't
agree.
answer.
And that's to me, when I read that.
I think it's official fundraising is what she's
Okay,
referring to.
okay.
Okay, so at
I
that,
think fundraising means collects funds and donations means collect donations.
yeah, so,
And then I just had a housekeeping item. They've made red marks as to what they're going to remove and the changes they're making, but they did not change they didn't reorder the categories. They just left the B out and the E out, and so they have to be renumbered,
there'll have to be a little bit of clerical.
formatting needs to
Correct,
be modified.
formatting. Douglas will probably take a look at it and make sure it's done appropriately. So, any questions or comments, though? Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the senior center policies and procedure amendments.
This is the Senior Advisory
I'm
Council
sorry, senior
bylaws.
advisor.
Council bylaws.
Council bylaw amendments.
We have Motion, we have support, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next,
I was.
Mr. Ruggles. Next item, C, request to approve senior centers policies and procedures amendments. They were on two separate pages. Here to make another motion, Mr. Noble?
I'd make a motion to request approve senior center policies and procedures amendments.
The motion, I have support from Mr. Ruggles again.
Under
Whoop.
discussion,
Yeah, I have a
Discussion?
question.
you want to go first? Go ahead.
I just had a question, but she's not here. Why did they get rid of the Huron Valley Wall Lake schools? I mean, I've had people approach me and I say they're closed on these days. Now,
That's because people show up at the center, so we're not going to be closed on those days anymore. Center will be
okay,
open.
thank you.
And I just had a point that hopefully can be addressed by staff. They are now going to be open when the schools are going to be closed. I think it's a good thing, because schools close if the weathermen are nervous the night before. So, but the concern that I have is, in a real weather condition, seniors might leave their home, try to get there, go all the way up to the door, and they're not going to be notified until there's a note on the door.
Well, they'll be posted on social media and the
And
board.
that's what I hope is going to happen, their website and email and things like that
Yeah,
as well.
when that, the last couple times that's happened, we make sure it gets out there on Facebook.
Okay, good. That'd be great. It just doesn't identify that in here.
Yeah.
Well, we will make sure that that is addressed. I will make note of that. Questions, comments? I had motion, I had a support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Thank you. I will, Mr. Powell, make mention of that. Next item, Resolution 24-008, approving West Nile virus expense reimbursement request. Lovely Deborah.
I'm here on behalf of the DPS department, trying to get your approval to participate again this year. This will be our 7th year that we participated in it. It's probably a well-received program. We're getting the same amount from Oakland County, $5,430. And that's been what we've been getting since the 2020 census. So it changes based off of the resident count every time there's a census. I did have to listen to their video this morning and see the birth and how have her impregnate all. Yeah, it was really interesting. And they have had a decrease in participation last year. So, which I don't understand why, because, you know, that's a lot of chunk of money they're giving us. And and I changed it around last year that we're getting sprays and we're getting wipes. The wipes were so well received last year because it was easier for even the men to put them in their pockets. Don't have to worry about nothing opening or anything like that. And the township's expense, because again, it's going to cost us a little bit more than that. So our expense would only be $22,700, about $50 for it. And I know in the past, and I think we only went up like $112 this year from last year. And I did make some changes, and we're getting more wipes because that seemed to be the bigger benefit versus the spray. So I'd like to get the board's approval to continue and to participate again this year.
I thank you for being here. I know Aaron had I think a robotics team commitment tonight, I think.
Yeah, he had, I know he had.
So, but thank you so much for coming forward, and this has been a successful program. People do look forward to this.
Yes.
We give a ton of this stuff away to our residents, and I think it is beneficial. And there's more to just the wipes. There's the briquettes that go in some of the still water throughout the township to try to prevent the hatching of the mosquitoes. And until they get a few more things worked out where they can figure out how to genetically engineer a mosquito to not breed or something, which would be great, we're just going to have to participate in programs like this. So I thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the board?
I just want to thank you, Deborah, also. I love giving the bug spray out to our neighbors and saying, hey, you guys paid for it, it's yours. But I also like bragging to my coworkers at my full-time job, and when they complain about the mosquitoes, I'm like, White Lake isn't that bad, because we have this program. And they're always like, really? And there are bigger communities that they live in.
Yeah, Oakland County, they had 6 pools of the West Nile virus they found last year. So whatever we can do.
Yep.
And they didn't mention White Lake as being a big place. They mentioned Pontiac and some other areas, but they didn't mention White Lake. So my thought is the more that we can get it out there, the better for all of us.
And the practices that go along with it.
Exactly.
So, very good. Mr. Ruggles.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the West Nile virus expense reimbursement request, Resolution 24-008.
I have a motion, looking for support.
Support.
I have support from trustee Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, board.
Item E, request to approve purchase of 2024 patrol vehicles for police department fleet. Depends on how you read that, right? So, Chief? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. As you know, every year I come up here and ask for 3 patrol vehicles. And I have Lieutenant Way or the patrol lieutenant do the study on the vehicles to get the best prices possible. So this year we went with Zott, LaFontaine, Galliana Dodge, and we got the prices from them. And if you remember, I think it was about 38,000 last year, and it has gone up to 41 and some change. And I wanted to show you the Chevy, the Tahoe, just to give you a frame of reference as to what vehicles, patrol vehicles can go for. Because I believe Waterford, Oakland County, Wolverine Lake, several other departments have the Tahoes that they go to. While they are nice, they are expensive. They're $52,000. And I just threw that in there just to show you the price differential between the actual Dodges and the next level up, which is the Chevy Tahoes. So this is I come up here every year, and I know back in the housing, when the housing market crashed, we let the cars go for a 4th year, and it was difficult to sustain our fleet because of going to that 4th year. That's why I come every 3 year, because hope is not a plan, and I don't want to hope that the vehicles can make it the 4th year. So I'm up here requesting that we go with Dodge from Zott at a total of $123,750.
Got any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Powell.
I wanted to thank the department and you and your staff. If every department put together their comparables like you guys did, it would really address a number of things here that we have on the board. So thank you for that. You did an excellent job. And I just wanted to put out a note to the other departments that if they're looking for a car, let's see if we can't choose one of the better ones that you might have for one that's going to be used once a week around here instead of going out and getting in a new car. So hopefully the administration is looking at the best car that you're going to retire, and it might be adopted by another department. So thank you.
Thanks, sir.
You got any questions or comments?
Yeah, this is your typical normal 3-year rotation, right? So there'll be 3 cars taken off rotation.
Yes.
When will these cars be ready?
So,
To be roadworthy, like with all the equipment, so they don't sit on your side lot like the ones that are still there?
yes, so our trouble with the ones that are on the side lot is that it takes forever to order the equipment.
Correct.
They've been ready probably for 6 months, and it took that long. Like the cars that are out there are just getting upfitted right now.
Okay.
So once we have the vehicles, we set up the appointment with the vendor to replace the parts. I will say this year is different because this is our 3rd and final cycle of the cars. They will all be Dodges, so they will all have the same equipment. So it's just going to be a transfer from point A to point B. There won't be hopefully this long wait where we have to wait 6 months to wait for all the parts to come in. So I'm anticipating, I'm hoping by the end of the year, because it's going to take the car anywhere from 2 to 4 months to come in.
And I know it's not quick.
And then by the end of the year, we'll have them upfitted and ready to go.
And by September, within reason, the 3 there sitting on the side parking lot could be used?
I'm hoping by the summertime,
Okay.
by late summer, they'll be ready to go. And then we'll be able to get in line with the numerous other departments that go to the outfitter that we
So
go
that
to.
your future with patrol cars are Durangos, correct?
Yes.
So then how can we help lower the cost of these fleet vehicles that you're purchasing to try and empty out our side parking lot of the 3 there in the park? Those are your Durangos, correct?
There's one that's been upfitted, there's one old one, there's one currently being upfitted right now.
No, the ones there in Stanley or Holly Park?
There should, I
I
don't
thought,
know,
I was just down there earlier and there were 3.
right, so there should be one that possibly gone or went earlier this week to the upfitter.
Okay.
So there's going to be one old one, then 2 old ones, then 3 old ones, and then we'll give them to
But the
Anthony for
ones in the
bidding.
park can be gone soon, so we don't have a used car lot down there?
Absolutely, I would love that.
Because that's how I feel when I go down there. As the park person, I have a tendency on nicer days to fly down there and see how many, I truly count them, like, oh, our police officer retiree cars are still down there. So
Yes.
I've been paying attention, Dan.
So
I
we
would love
try-
to see
we-
them gone.
What we try to do is, there's very little space in the parking lot up here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So once we hopefully get that new building sooner or later, they will have the places to put them in the proper places.
Yeah, 'cause I would love to see them gone.
Absolutely, as soon as
As soon
possible.
as soon as we can get them going, we bid them out and they go fast.
Well,
So
they've been
we'll
sitting there
have
for a
them out.
while, so.
Yeah, we'll get them out of here, but during the day, we don't have and especially with snow plowing season.
Oh, absolutely, but
so,
the snow's been gone for a while too, so.
It snowed the other day, so we'll get them moving on.
Okay, because like I said, I would like to see them gone. I'm gonna keep using the same word.
I will do my best to move them. I'll work with your husband to see if we can find a good spot for them.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Okay, any other questions from the board, comments? If not, I would like to make a motion.
I guess I just have one quick question. So I know you can't predict if something happens, but do you feel like this is it for 3 years, or you're not going to come back
Every year I come back for 3 new
for
cars.
3 years? But this is what you need for this year to cover that time period?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Just the annual purchase.
Yeah, so we have 9 fleet vehicles. I ask for 3 each year, and every so often I ask for
But
an
none
add.
are like on the fritz or anything? Because 1 year we purchased ahead of time to get the good price. I think we added
Yep.
to, I think that was a year or two ago.
was
We did
last
that.
year.
Was it last year? We added to. So I just want to, like, you're set with this.
With the patrol vehicles, we're set. The patrol vehicles are rotated on a regular basis to keep them in good working order, so the officers can have the confidence to go from point A to point B. The administrative vehicles, which I found out, which is what MMRMA calls them, we didn't pull that name out of our hat. It's what
Folks
the
give you a
insurance
hard time
company
about that.
called them. And
It
I didn't,
confused
I
us,
was like, why do we call them that? Now I know. It's because that's what the insurance calls them. We should be good for this, for the admin vehicles as well.
Okay, just wanted to be sure before we proceeded that.
Yep.
In case we needed
Absolutely.
to, hang on to a good price or something.
All right, with that, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of 3 vehicles from Zott Automotive for the total of $123,750. That is in the form of a motion.
I'll second that with a roll call.
Roll call vote.
Okay. Supervisor Kowa?
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Treasurer Roman?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles?
Yes.
Trustee Powell?
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees?
Yes.
Thank
All
you,
set.
everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Chief. Okay, folks, it's that time of year again, hard to believe. Resolution 24-012 to approve a goose nest egg destruction, Mariners Cove Homeowners Association and Foley Lake. It's kind of I don't want to say a boilerplate item, but it is regulated by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, and a permit is in my hands and should be in your packet. Any questions or comments? If not, looking for a motion.
Is this the first time these guys have done it?
No, I believe they've done it
You're good.
before.
I just couldn't remember. Thank you.
It may have been a couple of years, but they've done it before. Entertaining a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 24-012 to approve nest egg destruction at Mariners Cove HOA at Foley Lake.
Motion, looking for support. I have support from Mr. Ruggles. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next item, it's that time of year again for this. Request to approve a 2024 chloride dust control program with Oakland County. We are going to be doing the 5 application. That is what I have anyone and everyone that lives on a dirt road ask us to do. So we have done them in the past, and that same, this year's cost would be $71,337.20. And that is, funding has been set aside in the budget.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if this township board decided they didn't want to fund chloriding the roads, no roads would be chlorided in White Lake Township? Zero. And could we choose more applications?
This is the maximum program.
That's max?
There's requirements that you put chloride on only over a period of time. You can't just put it on Monday and it's dry by Friday, come out the following Monday and put it on. Yeah, Eagle regulates that.
Well, the reason I asked, it seems like the season's gonna be a lot longer since we don't have winter anymore and the roads are already dusty, so.
A good point. That's a good point. But,
Mr. Supervisor, go ahead.
Sir, you can come up
are starting earlier.
to the mic.
hang on. 1 second, sir. Okay, Mr. Powell.
I did call the road commission because the road commissions were being dictated by Eagle State to reduce the number of applications and reduce the potency of the application as well, which is, again, they're trying to make it only we can put drinking water on roads instead. And so the road commission did tell me that they have not changed their application rate nor their
Formula?
nor their formula this year.
Okay,
So at least we're still getting what we're paying for.
good. Okay, thank you for that. Mr.
Are
Roman?
you saying that the 71,000 is the same rate as last year, Mike?
No, I'm talking about the
concentration.
the concentration of the application.
I'm just wondering, does anyone remember what we paid last year?
There's 60,
Somewhere in there, it's a little bit of an increase.
yeah, 60-something.
I think somewhere addresses last year.
What hasn't gone up?
It did go up a little, I don't remember the exact number.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't
It was in here.
substantial,
Okay.
maybe a couple.
And since they are the only provider, you don't have a whole lot of, I remember it being in the 60s, in the high 60s.
If, with someone that lives on dirt roads, I'd like to request the approval of the 2024 chloride dust control program with Oakland County.
I have a motion to approve.
Support.
I have support from trustee Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Old business, second reading, Six Lakes Filling Station rezoning. Mr. O'Neill?
Thank you, sir. Good evening, board. This is the second reading of the request by Six Lakes Party Store and the Filling Station to rezone their property from LB Local Business and NBO Neighborhood Office to General Business. As you may recall, the Planning Commission held a public hearing and at that time recommended restricted business to you. That was on the 1st of February. And then on the 20th, during your first reading, it was determined by the board that they were more comfortable moving ahead with general business. And so I think that was the applicants, both of the original requests. If you look at the screen here, you'll see at the corner of Round Lake and Cooley Lake Road, the Six Lakes Party Store with the address of 9266, and then the filling station with the address of 9260. The third parcel involved does not have an address, but it's a separate parcel owned in common with the filling station building, and that's basically where the parking lot is. Those are the three parcels in the request from these two applicants. If you have any questions for me, I would be happy to answer them. I don't see either of the applicants here tonight, but this is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, this would be adoption. So, Mr. Ruggles?
Just real quick, on the last item, I think this gentleman wanted to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We forgot to,
It just seems like whenever they chloride.
Can you come up to the mic, sir?
You need to come to the
state
mic
your
and
name
identify yourself.
And your
Hi,
address.
I'm John Ross and I'm Hillway. It just seems every time when they chloride, it either rains that day or the day after.
exactly right.
And is there any way they can, like, put their chloride as far as weather permitting?
They have their process and we can't dictate it to them.
If we were the only community, they could do that, but they're going from one community to the next community, so one community would be skipped if they missed a day.
It sure looks like they only come out on rain days though, doesn't it?
Yes.
It sure has felt that way.
Schedule where they go by community, so
Right.
it would be difficult.
Yeah,
Like they go by the weather
Thank
pattern.
you. Thank you, sir. Okay. Back to Mr. Powell.
I'm in favor of this, but I needed to ask, since the area and the lineal footage of the frontages are required to be larger than these parcels, how does that play into the usability of these parcels if it's rezoned general? They've got to be 1 acre and 120 or 150 lineal feet of road frontage. And how does that, do they still end up being legal non-conforming, or how does that impact?
Yeah, the zoning ordinance does not prohibit you from rezoning the properties if they don't meet the minimum requirements. Now, if we were taking property that was existing, say a 10-acre parcel that was zoned general business, and then you started parceling out pieces of that, then it must meet that minimum standard. These are existing parcels, so the rezoning of it, and as I'm sure you can imagine, there's so many small parcels around the township. If that were, if we did have a prohibition or ordinance, then you would never be able to rezone any property because so many of them, especially around the lakes, are substandard in size. They are far below what the minimum standards of a district are. That actually came up at the Planning Commission. One of the members asked, I reviewed the ordinance. That member asked that we just verify with the township attorney, which I did as well, and we're on the same page with that. But it's a good question.
So if a natural disaster did happen, they would be able to rebuild and reuse their property then?
Correct. The property won't change. The buildings themselves, which are very likely non-conforming because of, certain standards, virtually, well, a good number of very old buildings don't meet today's standards. So the buildings would have to be rebuilt per today's standards or with our current standards, but the parcels would be, to your question, allowed to be built on again. Where I think there's somewhat of a challenge is that when you have a zoning district like general business, when you have the standards involved with designing, say, an expansion on these buildings, it's anticipating you're working with an acre, not 0.31 acres. So I think that's where there are going to be some challenges, but that would be the case really in really all the commercial districts because these are substandard lots, so.
Okay, and then I believe the restricted rezoning would be a possibility, but my concern would be that the restaurant would lose this season for outdoor seating if we did that, because it takes 90, 120 days to modify the zoning ordinance for outdoor seating under the restricted business. And so I am in favor of this rezoning, but I didn't know what your comment would be if we went to the restricted zoning. Now, all of a sudden, they've lost another season of outdoor seating.
Well, Mr. Powell, there was a question asked. Mr. Roman asked a very direct and straightforward question, which makes the area more desirable, and general business makes it more desirable.
Yes.
And since general business is across the street, the board took the decision to have this all inclusive in this area as general business.
I agree, and we need to think about master planning it maybe
Correct.
even more.
Yeah, this is one of the little pockets in the township that needs further study.
Correct.
So
The new master plan will deal with this. The new master plan does and has been adjusted to account for the desire of, I guess, property owners and maybe surrounding neighbors of having some non-residential options like these two businesses in this area, so it will be consistent. And just to your point, we've already gotten the amendments together. There'll be a public hearing on April 4th to move the amendments ahead that will allow outdoor seating. And frankly, the applicant can't even get it approved through the process faster than we'll be amending the ordinance. And they haven't even applied for the special land use yet. So I think it's probably a moot point with the zoning question if you were to go GB rather than RB, which is fine. But the applicant has not made an application for outdoor seating, and there's special land use that must be granted by the Planning Commission in order for that to be allowed, and there's a site plan that needs to come in with this. So there's quite a bit of work that the applicant will have to do, and she is aware of that.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Ruggles.
Make a motion to approve the second reading of the rezoning of parcel number 12-35-476-004, also known as 9266 Cooley Lake Road, from local business to general business. Approve the rezoning of parcel number 12-35-476-021 or 9260 Cooley Lake Road from LB to general business, and rezoning of parcel number 12-35-476-050, currently zoned NBO Neighborhood Business Office, to general business.
Support.
Motion.
Oh, got it.
Go ahead.
Motion, support by Mr. Powell. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Next item, request to approve VC3 managed IT service contract renewal. Tricia.
I made myself some notes and I decided it might be easier to
Thank
give you a
you.
copy because it summarizes a little bit of some quotes. Good evening. So last time we were here, we were asked to go back and see if VC3 could make some improvements to what they were offering. And they did make a few changes. So I summarized that here, but basically they are offering two different options. One is the contract without the labor included, which is really what we have now. We pay extra labor for special things outside of the normal, calls for fixing, the service calls when you have a problem with your computer, things like that. If we were to get a new server, we would pay for the equipment and the time to build the new server and install. That's a normal course of business. But they had thought, well, what if we offer you a contract with the labor included, and it would actually save you some money, because what we've been paying for the labor, according to them, is more than what we would be paying in this contract with the labor included. So when I went back to them, I asked them to try to get a little more creative. They dropped from the last time the year 3 price by $10,000. This is the first in both contracts, but I'm looking at the one now without the labor included. They dropped the year 3 price by $10,000. But they still want to get us to that, what they're calling the mid-range, which is standard for the Michigan area, which is the $80 per seat. And so in order to do that, they offered this as a 4-year contract, which then gets us to the price that they want to get to in year 4, which is the $98,990 per year for the township and the police department. And that's the $80 per endpoint, which is per computer, laptop, the equipment that we have. They offered an additional 5th year at the same price as year 4, and then thereafter, if we stayed with them, the consumer price index, it would just go up by whatever the consumer price index is, or 4%. They also added, in this contract, without the labor included, 25 free laptop or PC installs that we would not have to pay labor on. A PC install can be anywhere from 2 to 6 hours for a new PC install. Additionally, in the contract without the labor, they added a 90-day window each year where we could opt out for any reason, meaning at the anniversary of the first year, if we were thinking to leave, we don't have to have a cause. We can start going out to bid and looking at pricing and, next April or whatever, and decide that we want to change vendors. And then, of course, they still always have the 30-day clause for cause if they weren't performing as expected. The contract with the labor included, then that they did offer, because they knew that we were having the new building coming, and we were going to have the move, and we are looking at installing. We're working on that still, but we in the next year or two are probably going to need the majority of our desktops replaced, just because they'll age out. And so that anything that they do labor-related would be all encompassed in this pricing in the contract with the labor included that you see there. And that was a 20% addition to each year, but it really averages out to be 13% overall over a 5-year contract because of the aggregate of the step up in the prices each year. So this one, though, they felt that they needed a commitment from us, that we were more of a commitment, that we would stay in the contract, that we weren't going to just look for any reason. So they only offered the 30 days notice for cause in that contract. So a few things that I guess that I noted on here is that, they were continuing to work on the master service agreement. I didn't want to have legal do a bunch of work and then have you guys say, no, we don't want to do this. So they felt that what they've seen so far from the attorneys that they're comfortable with, they think we won't have an issue working that out, but if we do approve anything, it'll be pending the final legal review of the master service agreement. So what I wanted to say, a few things to remember is the grass isn't always greener someplace else. To date, we've been kept safe from threats with VC3, which is critically important. On the heels of COVID, IT Right went through a major merger with VC3, and we know it was a painful process for us, but the majority of those issues have been resolved with respect to their department organization and poor ticket turnaround, and they've cleaned all those tickets up that they were backlogged on and set up the departments to be more successful, to be able to respond to us quicker and just that kind of thing. And the other thing I want to say is that technical issues are not always simple and straightforward. They're not always password resets. They're not always things that, there is a multitude of things that can cause a problem that just pops out of nowhere, and those require troubleshooting. And every IT company has a level 1 tech, they have a level 2 tech, and they have a level 3 tech. And they always start with the level 1 tech, and it always gets farmed up and up until if it's not getting resolved, it gets farmed up. And I know that that's frustrating for people, but that's not different at any IT company, that they can't have all level 3 techs or you're going to pay for it. So while most of our tickets are not difficult ones, the ones we always hear about are the ones that are. And that's always the ones that cause pain, and that's always the one that everybody wants to talk about. And I understand that's human nature, but they aren't always their fault that they're not solved in a day or 2 days. They require work sometimes. And I believe we would have a similar issue with any IT company. So we've also seen some comparable data that shows that they are in the right range of what they're asking for. We have been getting a good deal for IT over the years, but now that they are merged with a much larger company and they're adding more resources, they are saying they can't afford to operate that way anymore. So I guess what I'm kind of concluding is we've got a decision to make. Do we not do anything and we say, will you work with us month to month till we farm it out? Do we go for the contract without labor because we have an easy out in a year or two? Or do we take the one with the labor and save us some costs when we move into our new building? So those are the decisions. We've always got a way out with cause. And so I guess that's, where I'm at with this. I could not have predicted that they would have asked for an increase of this nature. I didn't know that was going to happen. Otherwise, we could have started way sooner and went out to bid, but we didn't know that. So now we're at a point where we obviously need an IT company, so we've got a decision that we need to make.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Roman?
What's your recommendation, Trish?
It depends on how you strongly really feel. If some of you really feel like you just don't like this company as much as you used to, then I would recommend you go with the option without the labor, because you have a way in a year that if we're unhappy, we can, just start benchmarking and getting pricing and deciding if we want to make a move. We can benchmark anyways. I don't have to do anything to go out and get some benchmark pricing. I don't know what's involved in changing an IT company, like changing over. And my whole thing is I'm not sure doing that when we're getting so involved in all this building stuff that this is a good thing to do right now, so
But you've been happy with VC3, assuming you're still happy with them.
Yeah,
Do you like the without labor or the with labor?
I think the with labor is going to save us some money in the end game with what we have going on. And they also said that they would be willing, if we, let's say we went with them and we still wanted to stay with them at the end of the 5 years, they would be willing to remove the labor if we decided we didn't want to continue to pay for that. So we could, take the labor costs back out.
The with labor in the 5-year contract is the better deal.
I think it would end up being, if what they're saying is true, that we are spending more than what we're paying for with the 20%, then I think that's a better deal for us.
Yeah, I think that probably makes the most sense to go that.
Better deal.
Yeah, right now, I think that's a good sense, and I do not want to start changing paddlers in the middle of this canoe race here.
Well, we still would have an out option,
Yes.
right? I mean, we still
Yeah, for
have,
cause, if we
Yeah.
have.
30-day
issue,
for
we've got-
cause, 90-day,
yeah.
no cause.
Not a 90-day with no cause.
Oh, I beg your pardon, just
not
a
with the
30-day with
labor
cause.
contract.
With the labor.
Only without the
I
labor
stand corrected.
contract. Because they're saying that they're kind of giving some of that labor away because they aren't they won't get to the break-even price until the end of the contract. So they want a commitment that they want us more committed to them.
Right.
With the labor included.
Mr. Supervisor?
Yes, sir.
If I could ask a couple questions. Could you tell me about what the township spends on labor per year now?
Unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that question, so I could find that out. And I know we have to make a decision tonight, but if we wanted to do something, we could make, I was thinking about that because I didn't have time to get it, and I did forget to get that.
Because they're asking about $12,000 a year.
Yeah,
for labor.
I'm pretty sure that if they looked at the pricing, that we're paying more than that, and they said we're paying more than that, then we are. That they said that they reviewed the invoicing. I can double check it with accounting. We could make a motion
No, that's all
to
right. I
go
was
one
just
way or the
curious.
other based on that if you want, but.
And then if you could just give me an example, and I apologize, I did listen to the board meeting last month. Could you give me, when I have computer problems, it's almost always labor. And so when I take my computers in or I have an expert come in, they're in our office and they redo software. They spend a lot of time labor-wise, but I've not had to buy a new computer. I've not had to do all that. And so I'm curious, give me an example of why the cost for the non-labor is so high when, in my opinion, in my experience anyway, it's mostly labor to
Well, you're
to fix the
getting
computer.
labor, you're getting phone calls and desk support. You're not being charged extra for that when you call in and you say, I can't, my QuickBooks isn't opening. Like Mike's been having some trouble with QuickBooks because I think you're running an old version. And so they've had to call in several times.
And that's not considered labor.
No, that's not labor. Labor would be like a project of sorts, so, or if let's say we had an event where we were hacked, I can't remember if it was like 8 hours or something like that covered, but if it became a really big event, beyond that, it would cost us labor to continue working on that event. So that kind of thing. If we had to if we reconfigured some things, in the fire department, let's say that because it just needed to be done, that might be additional labor. A laptop, a new computer install could be labor above and beyond the free 25 and the first option. We've got, I don't know how many computers here total. I know we have more than 25 computers and laptops. So anytime we did a mass changeover of equipment, we're going to be paying 2 to 6 hours labor for those new desktops or laptops to be installed.
One last question. If we go with the contract with labor included, what extras that would not be included in that contract would we be hit with?
Well, if you were to go outside of the normal family of things that they work with, like if you were to go get a Mac computer, I don't believe a Mac would be covered. So it wouldn't happen often here because we don't tend to go outside of, the Microsoft suite and things like that. So it'd be something that they don't normally deal with, that might be included. Aaron, and so like Aaron might have a program, let's say, that they're running that's not something we all use. Maybe he wants this program that he needs. We would have to pay for that anyways because we have to pay for all of our software. That's not included. Right. And then they might charge him a little extra to install it. And they might not even, they have done things where they don't even charge us in the past, but I mean, that's something as an example.
So the question then would be, if we were to approve these and say at a price not to exceed, we may be in trouble because they might say, well, this doesn't include, the price doesn't include this and this and this. So
it should include the majority, 99.9% of our labor costs if you approve the one with labor. It will never include your equipment. It will never include your software licensing. That's all separate. If you want a supplier like that, you're going to pay a lot more per year for that.
This doesn't include police and fire, right?
Yes, it does.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
I have a
everything
question.
then.
I just had a quick question. Chiefs, what do you guys pay towards this? And how do you feel about the service on your end?
What do we pay toward this?
Yes.
I wouldn't, I do
He's
not know
included
that
in the general
Is he in
township
it?
price.
Okay.
Yeah, and so is Dublin. And the police like their billing separately, so they show it delineated separate and they would be billed separate like they are now, but they're included in the total.
How's it working?
It's not great, honestly. I don't disagree with Trish that the grass isn't always greener, but there have been multiple difficulties with this company, and they have improved. Have they improved to the standard that I feel is acceptable? Probably not.
Yeah.
There's a chat board on Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police where all the police executives and chiefs talk throughout the state of Michigan, and there's a lot of concern, with BC3. But with that being said, IT is difficult, and what you guys go with is there's really no wrong answer. And if there's a clause that says if you guys aren't living up to your standards, there's a 90-day, then we just use that clause and go look elsewhere. And it doesn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt in a year to look. Or
It wouldn't hurt to do it now. I mean, you can always benchmark pricing.
I just know they concern me, but like I said, it is what it is, and the grass isn't always greener. Another company could come in, and it could be substantially worse. And then you'll be crying for BC3 right back.
On your listserv, do you remember any other IT companies that were applauded?
So usually when the listserv hits, they'll go back to that person who asked the question, or else you'll get 500 answers on that same, so they go back. And like I said, if you don't feel comfortable doing it, that's fine, but if there's a 90-day out that we can get out for a reason, and there could possibly be reasons.
So
Honestly.
We're gonna pay a little more to be able, just so everyone's on the same page. It's not quite the better deal to be able to have the 90-day clause. Chief and Trish, for the most part, echoed my comments from last month that I had wished that we went out to bid at this time, which we could, this is just an option, we could contract them for 30 days at a time and look right now. We could bid. And those were my concerns, is the experience with VC3 has not been great. There's been lots of bumps.
So we have had them here for many years, yeah, and when they merged, it was, as any merger, it's difficult when you're merging two different completely systems together.
Can you speak into the mic?
The two companies had different ticketing systems. They wouldn't let them hire people because, when you merge together, they're watching their
They also moved out of state.
financing and all of that. They still have their presence in Bath, Michigan, which is where the people that we are dealing with are, I don't know about the service desk, but the techs and all of that.
The main company is not, they
But,
were in Michigan, now they're not.
So what I would say is that we were on the heels of a lot of tickets they were backlogged with for like 2 years that they have finally cleaned up. And I'm not trying to be a cheerleader for them. I'm just not convinced that another company is going to do better now that we've kind of got them where they are finally cleaned up. They have a couple technical experts in there, and I'm kind of learning that when it's a persistent problem, like if it's an ongoing problem with a issue that a couple people might be having or whatever, that to just go directly to those people rather than, going through this whole ticketing system. The normal, like I said, the normal day-to-day tickets, can be mostly resolved easily. As far as when we saw some of the emails that went around from the township supervisors that had asked, who is everybody using, how do they like them? The smaller townships had no issue with DC3. Seemed like the bigger ones were feeling the pain of everything that was going on. And the ones, I didn't really get a lot of feedback from who it was that they liked, because the ones that seemed to like their IT had individuals, they didn't have companies, so.
That was gonna be my next suggestion, is we could explore hiring an in-house IT guy. And any telecommunications company can build and move our server. That does not have to be VC3. So that's another thing to think about.
I would say that with a big move like that, it would make me a little uncomfortable just having any company coming in and like doing all of that, but.
Doesn't make me uncomfortable.
No?
That's totally normal and common to have a telecommunications company build a server.
I don't mean build a server, I mean with the massive move that we have of relocating equipment when we move into our new building. And one IT guy's not gonna be able to do that. Yeah, we'd have to farm that out.
Yeah.
We also have to be sure that that whoever this person is, that they are really top-notch with regard to threats and things like that, and setting our systems up so that they're safe, because we constantly are getting, phishing and crazy phishing emails, and we've had a few things happen that VC3 has protected us from that, it's just, that were like threats along the area, not just, an email type threat, like a major threat. So we have to be really concerned with that, And I'm not an IT expert. I mean, we'd really have to do our homework if we were going to go the route of a single person or a couple of people.
If I could just say one more thing, like Trish and I have had many conversations about this, and she knows, she's done a really good job managing this, because this is difficult to have someone try to get someone who can do the job that we need to get done. And I'm not saying, I'm just giving you my bit of information that I have that I'm concerned with. I believe if Trish says that's the way we go, she's pretty spot on, but it also, we should never stop looking for something that's better, that's all.
Yeah, so, that goes back to the labor,
Not an IT person, we would get a cybersecurity IT person. That's the
Yes.
kind that you would get. So you would, you wouldn't just have anybody, you would have someone that's qualified to handle those kind of threats and things.
So my question would be, could we actually get an expert like that for $70,000 a year?
No way.
So probably not, right,
With
yeah,
fringe benefits and all.
yeah.
So that it goes back to too, is can one person handle all these people? So I still feel like that one person's gonna have to have a small company to back them up, of sorts, to handle all of us.
Really have that many problems every day? We don't have that.
It could be, there's days where things kind of go a wire, and then there's days that they don't, but when you're talking installing all new computers, you're gonna have one person installing all your desktops. The last time we did a desktop purchase, they did all of them at one time instead of cadencing them. And now I'm in the position of figuring out can we get on a schedule where we can cadence these computer installs so that we're not doing them all at once. Maybe we do 20% a year, but I don't know. That's what I'm in the process of reviewing with Tom at VC3 is how old are the processors? We know we replace the majority of the computers at the same time, but occasionally you might have some that have an older processor in them than the other one, even though they were replaced at the same time. So we're in the process of looking at, are there some that are older that we should start rolling out of the system, replacing those now, in a year replace some more, and try to get to a cadence where we're doing 20%, 20%, 20%, so we're not always doing a major install. But when you do that, you need someone to do that. So I don't know if one person can do that. They would have a deployment team that comes in and handles it over a few days, so.
And that would be covered by this labor included?
With the labor included, it would cover all of them.
I'm gonna, listen, I've been on the side watching all the different antics happen over the last several years with the transition of the company. And I will say they've made an effort to try to remedy what issues they have. They have gotten much better at it. And change is difficult sometimes, and it just took them a while. But we've actually been running pretty good. But I have the biggest concern for cybersecurity because of what is going on out there now. I mean, we hear from time to time that hospitals are being held hostage for information. Some municipalities have been held hostage for information. And having a organization that has a group of people that this is all they do. They don't do anything else. All they do is sit around and figure out how to outsmart the idiots that are trying to outsmart them, okay? I don't know how to put it any other way, okay? So I'm in favor myself of having the contract as it's been presented. We do have a 90-day period at the end of the contract for out.
Without the labor, so I don't have, I feel like that's without the labor.
Yeah.
With the labor,
30
you've
day.
only got the 30 days.
We still have a 30 day.
For cause,
you
if
get
they
90
are not
days.
performing to what they say they will do. So that's
cause,
the only
you
thing I
can do
caution you on is,
Yeah, 30-day with cause.
Ideally, we need to mesh these two offers together a little bit.
I tried.
That would be the nice thing.
I tried
But she did
very
try.
hard, yeah.
Trish, I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Did these prices include the labor for the move, the work with the move?
If we do with the labor, it includes anything
That's the
that
one
we
I
do.
support, is with the labor.
I agree.
And we can always get out of it with the
So
30 day.
if, I'm not trying to dictate what we do. I'm here because I got blessed
Deal
to
with
be
them,
able
though.
to work with
But
them.
you deal with them, so it's
Right.
important that
I know.
it works
And
for you
right.
and it's,
Yeah.
you're
And
happy
The
with
first
it.
2 years are the lowest
You've certainly done
prices
better
we were
than our
doing on the
Vice
low end.
President of the United States. So, thank you, Trish, very much.
But what I'm trying to say is that I understand there is something good about the one without the labor, and there's something good about the one with the labor. And I am not going to pretend to be smarter than the board. You guys have to decide what it is that you would be satisfied with. If they were really start screwing up, we've got the 30-day clause, to get out for cause. And it has to be for cause, though, keep in mind, to what they say they will do in their appendix. This is how we operate, and it has to be that we're not performing to how we say that we're operating.
Well, maybe we should rebuttal we'll write in there, if we're dissatisfied, we'll notify you and we'll leave within 90 days,
We can do that.
Right, I mean,
Let's include that.
the greatest,
It's on our terms.
the best deal is the 5 years, the 90-day withdraw if we opt to leave with labor. That's how it should go.
I've been told that their CEO is, that they've never done any of this stuff for anyone else. And that they will not.
But we asked last month and look what we got. So I mean.
I know.
You know,
So if.
better deal.
I have a question, Mr. Supervisor. If we were to explore getting quotes from other firms, how does that process look and who does it?
I guess I would have to get other quotes, and I would have to figure out who to quote.
So do you have to
and-
have a company come in and analyze our needs,
Analysis.
right? And then once we obtain that, then we can go out and get quotes? So we
Well,
to
I have a quote that, because they were kind enough to work with me on putting together a bid packet, and so it has everything in it that we are doing right now. So I would be able to dust that off and send it out there. Every company that I have talked to wants to charge you $30,000 and come in here and look at everything. And I fundamentally have a problem with that, because why should I pay you for the opportunity to have my business? And so I've got an issue with that. I feel like if they want our business, they should come in here and read the bid packet and come in and take a look around and do that for the opportunity to win our business. But, because I can't pay every company $30,000 to come in and look at our systems that wants to bid, you know? So that's been an issue that's come up every time I talk to an IT company. Oh, yeah, we'll come in and for $30,000, we'll review everything and let you know what you need. I already have what I need. We just want a company that maybe people are more satisfied with. I'm not unsatisfied with, I don't have a reason to be unsatisfied with the security that they're providing us. That has not been an issue. It's been the service that they had provided, especially over the merger, before they were able to get it together, hire more people, and get things in place. So this has not been like a great timing, because it's on the tail end of all of those improvements, and now people aren't feeling extremely confident, with them. And so I understand that, but.
They have held their prices, though, up until just this recent.
Well, until the merger,
Yeah,
so.
until the merger, so.
Well, they're in contract with us. They couldn't change the price.
Well,
They had a contract, but remember, they raised it at the last contract, and then,
We asked them to go back
and because they included, the last time they came,
didn't
no, I mean
accept
the
their
last time when they were still IT, right?
We didn't accept that offer. We had them go back and it came in less, and then we.
Yeah, but they still raised it quite a bit, and that was because of the cyber, all of the security systems that they were putting in place.
and Mr. Roman,
Well, I was going to make a motion and see if you guys agree to approve the contract with the labor included, which would be a 5-year contract, and the year in price 5 would be the same as price 4. And we still have a 30-day notice for cause to get out of it. So I'm putting that in the form of a motion.
I agree with
With
you.
the review of the attorney.
Subject to
over
a township attorney
Subject to
review.
the,
Subject to
yeah,
township.
attorneys. I think they're already reviewing it. They're already working on the contract.
We did some work, but I didn't want to go back and have them redline everything
not you-
and pay
no.
them.
So subject to attorney review.
I will support that motion. Roll call vote.
Under discussion?
Discussion.
Quickly. I am in agreement, I think, with the motion, simply because we could go out we could study it for another 6 months to a year and end up with $100 less or $1,000 less, and I don't think that's worth it. I think we need the expertise now, since we're making this move. I would really like some negotiation on our notice of cause instead of their contractual notice for cause. So I'd like our attorney to look at that and modify it.
That loosened up a little bit as what is cause.
Correct.
And that, I'm not 100% sure what that is anyway, so we can have more discussion about what that means.
Right.
And
I don't like the
maybe,
color of ink in my printer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I understand, and to your point, do you have Mr. Ruggles?
Yeah, I've got a comment. I don't disagree with, I'm going to vote in favor of this, but I think the board should start looking for alternatives. We need to get those numbers, or we don't know what we're looking at. And the service, we don't know what the service is going to be until we take a chance, right? So,
and I don't have an issue with that. I was going to do that anyways, just like start I can look at their bid list that they gave me, and I can look at companies that have contacted me, and I can tell them we want to get some benchmark pricing. I don't want to, let them think that we're leaving our, right now, but we could at least
I mean,
get
we
some
can, they
pricing.
can think that. We could
Well,
leave,
they could think that,
you know.
yeah,
We can leave.
yeah.
So
yeah.
for the best, for a better lack of terms here, the best bang for our buck, it's the 5-year with the labor, but I would feel a lot more comfortable as well if we still had the 90-day window or the opt-out is for our reasons. And I think that's fair to put in this request because they acknowledge and they're aware that we bumped along with them for a long time. I commended them for taking responsibility and owning up to those mistakes, but it's not uncommon knowledge that they aren't there yet, that they still have some work to do, that they had a lot of work to do that we all kind of had to live with. So I think that's a very fair compromise and request to ask for the 90-day window to opt out for our reasons in lieu of the time that we bumped through with, subpar
Yeah,
service.
I think I'm gonna really,
What about if we could do either the 90-day or if we could get the 30-day a little bit more loosened up?
okay, well,
like
this
to
is where
our-
I would like to have the township attorney review this
Yeah.
and come up with their format and thought process on this, and we can have some conversations. So I think that would get us where we can go at this point. It's just
So
a lot
what
of
I would
work
like,
to-
one more thing, if this could take a little time, so I would like approval they're gonna want to increase the price, this time. I've been holding them off for a while. Can we, in lieu of that, if they ask, if we don't get this done by April 1st, which I don't know that we will, because we have to go through the master service agreement, finish the redlining, go back and forth between attorneys. If we set a target date of the contract for May 1st, but we may have to pay them the price for April 1st of the new price.
The prorated share.
For that month without being in the contract.
I think that's fair.
That's fair.
That's fair. Yeah.
While we work this
We'll
out.
include that
I mean,
in the
that
motion.
shows good faith, that we're trying to work together,
Okay, so the motion again is to approve the contract with labor included, with the caveat that we're willing to pay for the first month at the pro rata first-year price,
While we work out the terms and.
while the attorney works out terms and conditions, in particular, the time and reason for
opt-out.
for clause to opt out.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, and the support was?
You.
It was me. Okay, I'll be fine, okay? Yeah, I'm just making sure, okay, thank you. So at this point, I'll do roll call vote.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes.
Okay. Tricia, I applaud you.
Yes.
Mine
Mine
Thank
took 40 minutes, it was longer than the whole meeting.
This
Well,
was
it's a big
a lot
deal.
of
Yeah,
work.
it's important.
Lot of work.
Trust me, I
Just
was,
said what everybody was thinking.
I was subjected to the environment of all this frustration in our very small office area, so I get it. But, and that's the other point to this. This takes an absorbent amount of time, and we have so many things going on right now that you can't manufacture.
Right, it's taken a
any more
ton of
time.
Tricia's time, that's why I feel like they owe us a little bit here.
Yeah.
I know, I feel like I worked for them lately.
Yes.
Okay, Civic Center update. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And obviously, we're moving past some of the stages here. We're getting ready to move on a couple different, yes?
Do you want me to explain the new action item really quickly?
Yes,
before
yes.
Okay.
We can do that first and then talk about the,
So I handed something down early in the meeting. Apologize, it was missing something that I just went and printed and brought, which is being
didn't
handed
get
that.
that.
now. Pardon?
We didn't get that at this end.
It's
that's because
there.
the clerk didn't pass them.
Oh, there's more.
Okay, well, there's two different items. Hopefully,
Sorry, Rick.
I didn't get them, yeah, I
Just
did.
needs
Yeah,
to
you
get
did. There
passed
you go.
along.
He's got a whole stack of them. I didn't get this one either.
That was a new one.
Yeah.
I need one too.
The supervisor, clerk, and treasurer all have it via
This is
email.
deduct alternate,
Sure
this is
they've-
the add alternate, this is the deduct.
Studied it carefully.
Withholding
So,
information again?
That's it, yeah, yeah.
17,000,
Withholding
that's
information.
35.
no, so this came in yesterday. We got into discussion about it today, and it needed to be added to the meeting tonight because really, we're at sort of a crossroads. If you remember when we met on the 7th, and the architects were here, one of the items that was discussed was the range. And the decision of the board was to include it as an add alternate, and the design is already done. If you remember, we had kind of inquired as to what the cost for doing an add alternate design would be. Obviously, Mr. Redstone, at a moment's notice, didn't have that, but that's what's before you today, which is an additional services notification and a request for change in service. The cost of taking the range, designing the range out of the plan, now that it's designed into the plan, is $35,620. So two issues, really. One, we can't just approve that expenditure without the whole board voting on it because it's not a part of the existing package. This is an additional service. And two, you guys wanted it to move ahead in this way, but you didn't know it was going to cost $35,620. What you have in the attachment is a spreadsheet showing the Redstone fee as well as the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, Peter Basso and Associates fee of $5,700 plus 5% on top of that for Redstone, and then the structural engineering fee, a design fee change, which is $17,500 plus an additional 5% for Redstone on top of that, which is how you get to $35,620. So what the committee needs direction on is, do you want to just move ahead with it as part of the design, which it's already in, and see how it goes? Or do you want to pay $35,620 to back it out of the plan? And when I say back out of the plan, have a backup design in the event that you decide to remove it from the plan. I think everyone broadly supports the range. So if that's the case, it's going to cost you $35,000 to keep 1 foot in and 1 foot out, which is what we were trying to do last time. And that's what the committee needs direction on. So your options are either move ahead with it and not have it as an add alternate, or approve this $35,620.
5% of the cost of the range is right there.
More than 5% of the, the range is $604,500, so
And this would be in addition.
5% of it. So this is more than 5%.
This would be in addition to that number.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So whether you build it or not, you're going to pay $35,620. So it's a tough decision, puts you in a tough spot, but.
Not really.
Well, right. I mean, I don't think it is either, but I'm just saying it's a tough spot to be in. I don't think any of us expected it would be quite this expensive to create.
Yeah, I certainly
The add
don't
alternate?
appreciate that, the fact that we're in a contract that is fairly expensive, and I just think that, I'm very disappointed that the fee is what it is. Very disappointed.
Especially when
kinda
the
saying-
architect was asked, and he
kinda
said it
saying-
wouldn't be a lot of money.
Yeah, there's a.
Basically saying he doesn't want to do it.
You kind of read that in there, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to say, leave the plan as it is. That's my thought process. Anybody can voice their opinion, but I'm going to say leave it. I'm not willing to throw this money at that. We'll know where we stand. We as a board can make a decision at that point.
What,
I agree.
what these don't include is a timeline. I don't know how many weeks of time it would take, because these haven't been approved yet. How many weeks of time it would take them to make these changes as well. So beyond the dollars.
I
there's
would
time.
venture to say that if Mr. Powell and I looked at that drawing, we could probably remedy the situation extremely quickly and not with $35,000 worth of rework.
So let me, since my name was brought up, let me at least give my opinion, because it happens all the time in our contracts. My advice is to leave it the way it is. Let's go out for bids the way it is, because, and no, I don't like to badmouth fellow professionals. However, the contractors that bid on this are going to know this project very, very well. And if it comes in too high and this board decides that we need to back out of it, we're going to have some more decisions to make besides just removing things. And so we can easily sit down with our lowest contractor before we sign any contracts and say, all right, we need to do something. We need to sit down and negotiate with maybe the bottom two contractors and say, how can we reduce these prices and how can we remove the gun range? And we can easily do that with the contractor. We don't need the professionals to remove walls, remove ceilings, and put a brick ledge in and brick the outside of a wall instead of all the stuff they're doing. Now, they do have the additional mechanical, electrical, but if it's over-designed, if our equipment is over-designed, then we can add that in the future if in fact we do take it out.
Terminate it.
And the mechanical contractors can easily make recommendations as well. I don't feel comfortable paying our consultants, our professional consultants, more money in order to solve a problem that we can solve later.
I agree. Because I know we can solve it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my point, and I think Mike and I are on the same page.
Yeah.
You agree?
Oh, yeah, I agree.
All right, so make a motion to disregard this and leave the gun range in the original plan.
I'll second.
Motion, support, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next item, as a continuation, Civic Center update. We have had multiple meetings. Mr. Roman, you have things you want to touch on, or?
Well, we've done our value engineering and, you know, we are at the point now, I think, where we're waiting on final drawings, are we not? We've done the value engineering and, I don't really know what else to say other than waiting for finals.
We have a drop dead deadline of May 15th, okay?
Just someone's special's birthday, just so happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the designs are due May 15th. We're in the process now of getting pricing on the mock-ups. All of you received an email just today on just sort of that final hodgepodge. Actually, it's a picture of some of these materials. Heard from a couple of you confirming that that is the palette of materials that you recommend or remember approving. I'm hopeful that if not in the coming days, certainly next week, we'll have a price back to do mock-ups on the, I guess.
West wall.
West wall, that's the old boardroom wall. And they're gonna be pretty big. I mean, we're gonna paint, and Redstone made a good recommendation. We're gonna paint the wall white to neutralize, because it's the building's, Keshi had seen, it's pretty ugly. And so we don't want that, whatever color that is, throwing off the palette. So we're going to paint the wall white from top to bottom, basically, and about 25 feet wide, because the mock-ups are gonna be, we're gonna take up most of that area, and it's gonna be inclusive. It's gonna have every piece of it. They're even gonna put in some either metal trim or black to represent the metal trim around the windows. So you're gonna get to see how all the materials come together, and I think that that's hugely important. It's going to probably cost us a few $1,000s per mock-up. We're getting ready to spend tens of millions of dollars, and we need it to be right. We need you guys to be confident in the decision. So, and that'll actually be a good focal point for the residents who come that wanna see what the materials will look like. So kind of excited about getting those mock-ups up. Weather's hopefully gonna be cooperative very soon with laying brick and things like that, because it's just gonna be those materials right on the wall.
And we can't paint the wall until we get at least 50 degrees temperature.
Right, or it won't stick. Yeah, so we're hoping that we can get it, the price of the mock-ups approved and get them ordered, because it's gonna take some time.
Maybe next week, end of next week.
Yeah. I also put together a draft that I ran by Rick and Anthony and Sean, that kind of shows, based on our most current estimates of costs, construction and all, what the monthly payments, or really annual payments on the bonds are gonna look like. It's got in there expected contributions from other funds, which would be building, police, fire, water, and sewer. And my game plan, since the audit of the town, annual audit is going on right now, I'll run that all by the auditors, kind of get their thoughts. And then, once that's done, I'll run it by, Chief Keller, Chief Holland, and, we'll bring it back to the board for discussion. So.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
I didn't know. Hopefully, the site work is gonna be completed, the drawings for the site work are gonna be completed before the May 15th.
Yes,
'Cause I'd
I'm
like to
sorry.
be out.
We're expecting that in like the next 2 weeks.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I'm
They're
sorry we
like
didn't
right
mention that.
on
Yeah.
the heels. We had
okay.
some debate on some things with Stu about a couple different things, but we put that to bed.
Great.
And
And
now,
really, the shifting of the building, if you remember when we shrank the footprint, the building shifted to the west, and it freed up 10 or 12 feet of room on the east side for some mechanical conflicts, which made it easier for some of the site work. But that is why there needed to be a pause and a little bit of a redesign, so it's a good
Okay,
question.
thank you.
so it actually, at the end of the day, is going to be, I think, a better configuration in that particular area.
Yeah.
And I think that'll also make that stack wall, I'll call it the stack wall, I think that'll kind of
Excellent.
fit into that. But until we have that finalized, and I'm hoping within the next 2 weeks to have that, they were hoping to have that done and get that out to bid, and actually potentially the conversation was mid-May, move dirt.
Oh, man, great.
Okay, but we'll see what happens. You know, depends when the bids come back and everything else, because today is the 18th,
19th.
correct, 19th? Thank you, I'll be fine. And so that gives us, a little bit of time to keep moving forward.
Excellent,
and
thank you.
get there.
I just have a quick comment. Spring is here, but old man winter's hanging around. So we aren't gonna put up the materials for a couple weeks, but, which gives us time. But do we need to discuss the wood color for the outside? Will that be part of the mock-up? So that we can have a complete picture, or
I will
when are we
ask,
gonna deal
I'll
with that?
verify. I don't remember if the wood was a part of it, but I know everyone here felt it needed to be much darker than how it was shown.
I think we'd all
We don't-
like it a little darker.
yeah, we don't want yellow wood.
Right.
Yeah.
I think darkening up is a little classier. Also, I had brought up to Anthony and Mike last week or so, I don't know, I have no idea what the costs are, but just a thought, perhaps we could or should consider like other materials than wood, like a composite or a Trex or something that looks like wood, but for maintenance and upkeep might be better. I don't know what the costs are, but
Well, on the
it's
exterior.
worth asking.
Yeah, that's because the fact that those are structural, you would literally have to go back to the structural steel and then encapsulate them in
Yeah, we
a
just haven't
veneer.
been given any cost for that, right? For the wood at all?
Well, that's
'Cause
gonna be, we were given a guesstimated cost, but now that the drawings are gonna be finalized, and remember now, that was all removed from the lower level. So now it's the main floor and the
Right.
foyer
Entrance.
and the two porte-cocheres.
With the exception of the beams that the overhangs, the covered entryways have on them. Those are the only things that I think were left timber.
Right.
Yeah,
Some
the
trim on the
entrance
outside.
So
Maybe first, let's see what that costs and then go from there.
we can always reverse engineer.
Right, okay.
So, okay, I'm going to start with Andrea.
Oh, trustee comment. Thank you. I'm gonna take everyone back to 1968, historical moment tonight for everyone. 1968, White Lake Township. We were a common law township. We were a treasurer, supervisor, a clerk, and 2 trustees. We held our meetings on the 3rd Tuesday of each month at 8 PM.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, absolutely, remember that too.
I like that.
We had no trash pickup, only garbage, and we took it to Marlowe's dump on Rose Center Road. The fire protection had 174 runs and drills, and they were paid $30 per run. And the phone number was, I just had it. EM 3-3551. At that time, the fire chief was Delos Chisholm. We had 4 command and 22 firefighters. The police chief was LH Marsh. We had 1 full-time and 1 full-time, and 1 part-time. And at that time, they were paid $2.25 an hour. The population of White Lake Township with an estimate in 1968 was 14,000 people. That's all I have. When someone handed this to me, this stuff isn't interesting to me, so thank you for putting up for my historical moment.
Okay, Mr. Powell.
Thank you, and I hate to say that I used to come in with my dad in 1968 to the Township Hall, and it was, I remember those days. Unfortunately, I wish I didn't have to say that, but yes. I did want to let this board know and the general public out there that I signed all the documentation to run as a trustee again this next fall. So I appreciate the ability to run these last 20-plus years and look forward to continuing this to support the township in any way I can. Also wanted to thank this board while I was enjoying the sunshine in Florida. I commend this entire board for the great decisions you guys make each month and every time we get together. So I want to thank the board for that. I also wanted to point out, since it's kind of in my wheelhouse a little bit, I certainly noticed that our consulting engineer, DLZ, came in as the low bidder on the Round Lake Sewer project. I'm very, very pleased that they did. I believe they worked hard to get that price as the lowest price in the 4 engineering companies that were submitted. I've talked with most of the other engineers, and they believe that DLZ sharpened their pencils extremely well and did come in low. I was hoping, quite frankly, that DLZ would do that on every project for the township. And I put them on notice that although they were low on this project, we don't want them to take for granted that this board won't go out and rebid other projects if we believe they're out of line in the future. So I wanted to congratulate DLZ on their low bid for that Round Lake Sewer. I'm very glad that they're going to be our engineers on it, but I am also want to warn them that this board will continually watch their fees. So, Mr. Supervisor, thank you very much.
Very good. Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'll be short and sweet this evening. I just have a quick library update. The Friends of the Library had a very successful book sale last week, and they tried a couple new things. They added a bake sale, which was also a great success. So look forward to having that continue in the future. And we appreciate their support that they give to the library programming. And that's really all I have. I want to thank our board. We did such great work together at our last special board meeting. We accomplished great things. And it's exciting what's ahead of us this spring and summer. And I'm so happy that we are able to serve the residents so well together. And that's all I have. Thank you this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Roman.
Just as always, want to thank our residents for attending. I want to thank our county commissioner, Chris Long, for attending. We appreciate it. And to all of our residents, you all asked for pathways, and our Triangle Trail construction has begun, so it is happening.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Noble.
Just to let everybody know, next election is May 7th, and that will be a school election with Huron Valley and Weld Lake schools. And absentee voting begins March 28th, and early voting begins April 28th through May 5th. And we're in the middle of an audit, and I'd like to thank our finance director and assistant finance director, Elaine and Don, for working very hard towards that as we're navigating through that audit.
Okay, that's a renewal on their millage, correct?
If you want to believe that language.
Well, no, their current millage is expiring. I just want to make sure that everybody understands this. The current millage is expiring.
Right.
And they're looking for essentially a new millage.
A new bond.
A new bond for 360 million or
Yeah.
366 million. So in other words, if it was not to go through, your property taxes would indeed go down considerably because the old bond is paid off. So now if it goes up, it comes back into play, then of course, we'll be paying $366 million for another project within the school district. Okay, just want to make sure that was clear. Mr. Ruggles.
Yeah, thanks. On March 7th, after our special board meeting, the planning commission met, and there was one item on the agenda, was the Calvary Church on the south side of M59, 9101 Highland Road. An applicant had asked the planning commission to consider a rezoning from R1C, single-family residential, to general business. And on that particular evening, it was voted down. So normally if it's a recommendation to approve, it would come to the township board, but since it was denied, I'm not sure if we'll be seeing it or how the applicant wants to proceed with this. But we could be seeing it in the future, so. Our planning commission meeting this week has been canceled. That's all I have.
Okay. Well, like Mr. Roman said, the Triangle Trail has commenced. And there has been some conversation with other authorities. Metro Parks is going to hear from us. They are talking about doing some trail work regarding the ITC corridor. There's a little change in the thought process there now that we're actually starting the Triangle Trail, so we're going to see where that comes. Still trying to deal with MDOT a little bit. A little challenging, but nonetheless, as you know, Michael, but working in that direction. The Elizabeth Lake Road project, I signed the contract books end of last week. The shovel will go in the ground on or about middle May, or April, excuse me, April 14th or to May sometime.
When will they actually shut the road down?
Probably not until probably May.
Okay.
There's still a couple things that have to get hashed out, but we're looking within the next 30 to 40 days, that's going to start. And then within 30 to 40 days, they'll have probably a majority of the Triangle Trail underway. They are going like crazy already over there, so that's moving forward and is buzzing along. We have our Home Has, which is going to be this May. It'll be Saturday, May 18th. It is going to be this year at Alpine, okay? They have offered to host that facility after last year's massive showing and plugging up the parking lot over at Kohl's. Mr. Cossack was generous enough to offer his facility for that use. So that's where it stands. I was still working out a couple things there. Got to get that ironed out. If anything changes, I will keep everybody posted. And then I'd like to thank everyone tonight for coming, our usuals, and others. Thank you for being here. And all the people that may be tuning in tonight, thank you very much. And I really want to thank my deputy, Trish. She went over the top on this thing, and with her trying to juggle all the stuff and trying to be my gatekeeper on top of it, it's a full-time task. So she does a great job. She's very adaptable, and I make a lot of decisions in life, and that was a good one that I made. So for that, I'm eternally grateful. So for that, I say tonight, thank you, good night, God. Oh, that's right, I almost forgot about that. Thank you very much. This is why you're here, okay?
Sergeant of Arms.
Yeah. Our boat shrink wrap program that we initiated last year, we are now going into our second year. And we've ordered the bags. I'm not sure if they have hit.
They ended up in my office.
Okay, they hit your office, okay, so there's $7.
Boxes and boxes.
Yeah, they're $7 a piece. Do your part.
I was gonna move them to the clerk's office if that's all right with you.
Yeah, that's a good
Mr.
idea. I like that.
We have plenty of room.
Plenty of room. And do your part, because all of the plastic last year that we took out of here filled a 12 by 12 room. I think it was 43 feet high, okay? And something like that. And I'd forgotten how many pounds that it was. I should have had that information tonight, but I didn't have it handy. And we're making a difference in our little area, and all that stuff is going to make decking and park furniture and benches and all kinds of other things. So it's getting recycled, and it's being recycled here in Michigan. So we're creating an economic opportunity for the people that collect it and for the people that reprocess it and make new products. So it's a win-win.
What's the cost this year, same?
It's, yeah, I think the bags are still $7, yeah. So I'll double check that, but Kelly should get you that information. So, and we should be good. So thanks again. Thanks, everybody. God bless. Good night. Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.